Hi, Armindo Fontana from York English Services here. I hope you are all doing great. It has been a while since I last posted a PowerPoint presentation or video, hasn't it? I'm sorry about that. But here I am. I just want to share with you a basic, very simple, sort of concise PowerPoint presentation on a topic that can be helpful for those who struggle with reading. So it can be very helpful to those who need to take the CELBAN exam. In the CELBAN exam, there are at least 4 different kinds of questions. One of them is about words that are unfamiliar or unknown to readers. This could be one example that illustrates, that show you what I'm talking about. When you are reading and you come across words that you are not familiar with, words that you don't know, you need to ask yourself 2 basic questions. Do I need to know this word? And second, do I need to know the exact meaning of this word? Or would just an approximate meaning be okay? If you realize that, no, I don't need to know the meaning of this word in order to understand the text. I can understand the text without knowing the meaning of this particular word. Then forget about it. Just move on. But if you realize, if you decide, no, I think it's important, I cannot really understand this text unless I understand the meaning of this word, then you need to move to the second question. Then you need to ask yourself the second question. Do I need to know the exact meaning of the word? Or would an approximate meaning be enough? If you need to know the exact meaning of the word, then you have no choice. You have to go and check a dictionary. But if an approximate meaning is good enough, then you need to use one of the following strategies. And these are the strategies that you need to use during a CELBAN exam. These are going to be helpful to figure out meaning of words that you don't know, and consequently would help you answer questions in the CELBAN reading exam. These are the 3 strategies you can use. First, you can try to figure out the part of speech. In other words, try to figure out what kind of word you are dealing with. Is it a noun, a verb, an adjective, or an adverb? It's always one of these 4 options. Look at the options. Look at the alternatives. A, B, C, D. Sometimes when you look at them, you realize that they're all adjectives or all verbs or all nouns, and that should help you understand what kind of word you are dealing with. What kind of word is the word that you're trying to figure out the meaning. The second strategy is break the word and analyze each part. For example, the word indecisive can be broken into 3 parts. The prefix in, the root this is, and the ending if, IVE. So the ending, IVE, indicates that the word is an adjective. A lot of adjectives end in IVE. So look at the suffix, and they are quite helpful in terms of helping you realize what kind of word you're dealing with. Also pay attention to the prefix, the part of the word that comes before the root. In this case, IN. You know that IN means no or not. So when you put all these words together, and of course you can realize, you can clearly and easily identify that the root is related to the word decision, the noun decision. So when you put all this information together, you realize that indecisive is a word that we use, it's an adjective that we use to talk about, to describe people who cannot make decisions. Finally, look at the context. And you should pay attention to the immediate context, which means the sentence in which the word is used. But if there are no clues in the sentence, then look at the larger context. Look in the rest of the paragraph. Sometimes you can look even at the previous or the following paragraph, depending on where the position, depending on the position of the word that you are trying to deal with. I know this is very basic, and you might be a little bit confused. So I wish I had more time to explain in more details. But let's take a look at an example. Let's look at an example. Here the question is, to what does the boldface word severity refer? And you have four options: degree of strictness, degree of imbalance, degree of graveness, degree of discomfort. The sentence in which the word severity is used reads, the length of therapy also depends on the type and severity of your sleep disorder. So what does the word severity mean here? If you are unsure, you can use the three strategies I mentioned. For example, start by trying to identify the part of speech. What kind of word is severity? Usually words that end in ty are nouns, so that's a clue. But when you also look at the four options, strictness, imbalance, graveness, discomfort, you realize that all these four words are nouns. So most likely the word severity is a noun. Okay, so now we have realized that severity is a noun. Then we can try the other strategy. Break the word into parts. Here you can easily, as you look at the word severity, it's not difficult to identify the root severe, the adjective severe. And so that's the root, and there is a suffix attached to it, and is the ending ity. You know that refers to a quality. So severity is the quality of being severe. Now, the problem is severe can mean strict, can mean grave or serious. So you have to look for clues in the context to try to figure out which one of the options makes more sense. The length of therapy also depends on the type and degree of strictness, on how strict of your sleep disorder is, or the length of therapy also depends on the type and kind of or how serious or how grave your sleep disorder is. So it seems relatively obvious that graveness seems to be the best option. After all, a sleep disorder cannot be strict, but it can be grave, it can be serious. So by using these three strategies, it's not that hard to realize what is the best choice among the four options that you have. Let's take a look at another example. Here you have to find the meaning of the word anecdotal. Maybe you know this word, maybe you don't. In my experience, I find that most students don't know the word anecdotal. So, what can you do in this kind of situation? Again, the first strategy is to try to figure out the part of the speech. What kind of word is anecdotal? Well, we know that the word evidence is a noun. And we know that words that come before a noun, words that describe a noun, are adjectives. We also know that a lot of adjectives end in al. Adjectives like social, educational, inspirational. All these words are adjectives. So it doesn't take us long to figure out that the word anecdotal means or is an adjective. Then we move to the second strategy. We try to break the word in parts. And maybe you can recognize the word anecdote as the root. And then you have the suffix al, which indicates an adjective. So it seems like this strategy doesn't help us much. So at this point, we only know that anecdotal seems to be an adjective. What we can do then is look at the context. If you read the sentence, it says, anecdotal evidence gathered from nurses practicing on the streets of Vancouver suggests a figurative matriarch was a public health nurse the late Grace MacDonald. When you look at this sentence itself, there's not a lot of help, nothing that can really provide a hint, no clues about the meaning of the word anecdotal. But if you look at the previous sentence, you read, although the history of street nursing is largely undocumented, Vancouver, British Columbia appears to be its Canadian birthplace. So when we look at this sentence that precedes the sentence where we find the word anecdotal, we see that it's basically talking about the history of street nursing. And it says that this history is largely undocumented. In other words, there are no documents written about it, no official documents at least. But this history points to the beginning of street nursing as Vancouver. Vancouver seems to be the origin of street nursing in Canada. So that's what basically this first sentence says. So again, the sentence tells us that street nursing in Canada began in Vancouver, Canada. This is what we know from undocumented sources. So there are no official documents, nothing that can prove. So what else can we gather to find out more information about the origins of street nursing in Canada? Well, we can resort to anecdotal evidence. And what is anecdotal evidence? Well, this evidence was gathered from nurses practicing on the streets. So it doesn't take us long to kind of guess that we are talking about things, comments, maybe stories shared by nurses who work on the streets of Vancouver. And they all pointed out to this particular woman, Grace Donald, a public health nurse, as the matriarch, as the first woman who started this movement. Now you have to answer the question, what does anecdotal mean? You have studied the word anecdotal. You have figured out already that it is an adjective. You also have taken a look at this word in its context. First, you look at it in its immediate context, in the sentence where the word anecdotal was written, and you realize that it didn't provide, that the immediate context did not provide any clue or hint. So you look at the larger context. You look at the previous sentence where you read the history, the beginning, the origins of street nursing, pointed not to official documents or not to scientific research or not to statistical figures. So not to anything connected to options A, B, or C, but to something shared by nurses, public health nurses, that they were the source of evidence that points to Vancouver as the birthplace of street nursing in Canada. So it seems more reasonable to conclude that these anecdotal evidence refer to stories shared by public health nurses who mentioned this woman as being the pioneer, the matriarch, the woman who started street nursing in Canada. So you have to go with option D. Now it's time for you to give it a try. Practice. Try a reading exam. Try one of those questions about vocabulary. Next time you come across one of them, try to use the strategies that I recommend here. Review this material. I believe that if you pay attention and listen carefully, you'll be able to figure out what I mean, and I am pretty sure that this is going to help you answer these questions in a more accurate way, and consequently, this will help you pass the CELBAN exam, which is my hope and wish and dream for you. Thank you very much for watching this brief and basic PowerPoint presentation. Don't forget that York English Service is here to help. So contact us if you would like to take a class, take a course, and spend some time practicing these strategies in a class format. We always have very small classes, and you will get plenty of support not only from me but also from other students who are going through the same journey. I wish you all the best, and I look forward to hearing from you. I will leave more information about how you can reach me in the description below. Again, thank you very much. All the best. Have a nice one.